Thank you for the group for showing up this morning and for the city to providing such a nice breakfast. I am Peggy Sinova, and I'm with the East Central Indiana Small Business Development Center, where we help businesses start, grow, and flourish. So any part of business that you're in, we have tools that can help you with what you do. We have a few computers. We brought a little computer lab. If your computer isn't hooking up, if there's a problem, we'd be glad to share that with you. Tom already thanked Judy, but I would like for us to give Judy a hand for putting this all together for you. Thank you, Judy. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone here does too. Now, the role for Tom today is he's going to keep me in line. Isn't that right, Tom? When I say something that's not right or I'm not covering something well, he's going to be my voice of reason back there. So I'm hoping that he'll do that. We are also very honored that Angela Barbosa of Solutions for eBiz is an expert in a lot of this stuff. So she's, when I don't know what I'm doing, she's going to jump in too. So we're really lucky. Tom and I were at the National Association for Small Business Development Centers. Where were we? We were in San Francisco in September. And Google was there. They had a little booth, and they said, we're going to help you put your cities on the map. And we signed up for that. And I said, that's a great idea. And so they've provided all of the slides and all of the information I'm going to give to you. Google has provided to me. And I'm just going to be honest. Usually I'm really super prepared for a presentation, and I know my stuff back and forth. But this is my first put Anderson on the map. So please forgive me if I stumble a little bit. And Google's provided all this stuff to me, so I'm going to read it to you today. And I know that's not the best way to present, and I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible. But I figure Google probably knows more than I do about presentations, and I'm going to take their lead and do what it says to do. So we're really glad you're here. Welcome. Google My Business is where we're going to go today. We're going to do hands-on. We're going to go through the slides without really doing it. And then we're going to do one-on-one, hands-on, how we're going to do it. So I'll get going with my slides and what Google told me to say. And don't hesitate to interrupt me at any point. We'll see where we are. How many people know that they have verified claimed their dot? Okay. If you're asking that, you're not sure. You probably haven't verified your dots, what they call it. Verify your Google place. So we're going to get there. These are the things we're going to talk about. But mostly we're going to focus on getting that dot. So, research shows that 97% of consumers search the web to find local goods and services. How many of you get on Google to find something local? They put these words here to say how powerful they are, and we all know that they are. So when you get there, it's easier for people to find you. And that information over there is what we're going to make sure that you have about your business and that it is correct today. It won't guarantee that people are going to find you, but it's the first step in making sure that they do. Business with physical locations, of course, need to have it to be able to be found on Google Maps. That helps people find. I used that this morning to get to the Anderson Library. Sometimes that lady yelling at me makes me feel really silly because I've made the wrong turn, but those Google Maps are really valuable. The main factors that you're going to put on there are to make you relevant to what people are looking up and how close you are. So Google Maps and Google My Business are completely free. They're just like the ISBDC. No cost for you to get up there. It works on desktops, computers, laptops, and mobile. They've done research that shows 56% of the population use their smartphones to do research. So it's pretty important that your website, that your Google My Business, that everything is mobile friendly. So with this, people will be able to find you no matter where you are. If you only have a mobile device here this morning, looks like most of you did bring laptops, but if you have mobile devices, you'll be able to do what we're going to do today on a mobile device. There are just a few things you can't do on mobile, but most everything else you can. Again, Google My Business is free. There's no catch. If you used to use Google Places, anybody used Google Places in the past? It moves right over to this. So they've transferred all that information in one place. So we're going to walk through the process, and then we're going to do the process. So right now, we're just going to talk. We're not going to be doing things. Later on, we're going to take the time and the effort to have everybody help one another and get this done. So first of all, we're going to go to GYBO, getyourbusinesson.com/business, and that'll take us to where we need to go. And then when you put your name in, you'll find out whether you've already been verified or not. And I did this for some of your businesses yesterday. I was looking things up, seeing who's on the map and who's not, and it's all over the place. Several are, several aren't. Some are verified, some are not. And I imagine some of you had some information that's not correct that we're going to clean up today. That's going to be very valuable. So verifying your business is what we're talking about. Often you have to get a postcard, so you'll not be able to do everything today. A few times you can do it by phone. So if you already have a verified site, you can access it and edit it at Google My Business. So we're going to learn more about that. If it's verified, it will appear across the Google platform, and that's what makes that so important. How many of you have a Google account? You have a Gmail account? Because you have to have that first. I think we sent out a little email saying that. How many do not have a Gmail account? Okay, well, work on getting those today so that you can get on with doing this. So Google likes...
personal, or is that specifically for a business?
Good question, Levi. I think you can do it either way, as long as you can get into the backside of Google.
Whichever email address you decide to use for this, you're going to want to keep it consistent across everything you do with Google.
Okay.
So if you're using a personal one, it's fine. Just know that you need to set your business page up with that. If you get into any other Google Analytics or anything, everything will be using that same Gmail address.
Okay, so can you use your, so you can create a Gmail address for your business right here, right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can put your business, you just have to remember to check that one in addition to other ones if you're going to do that, of course.
Thank you, Angela.
Track your password and all that.
And this is, look for your business in the lists of results once you come up to it. If you see your business, you can click it and then go to that. And if your business does not appear, we're going to let you know how to enter the full business details. We're going to talk about that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to enter all the information about your business. When we first heard a presentation about this, we figured out that we were a mess, East Central ISBDC. We had stuff everywhere. We had old accounts that were showing up, and it really was valuable for us to clean things up. And I hope that that will be for you as well. So we're going to enter our street address. We're going to do all the things that it asks for to make it even more visible for Google to find you. So you're asked to find a category for your business. And that category is kind of like, if you think about it, it's like the yellow pages. So if you're doing something really weird, it's not going to be they're not going to have a category for it, and you're going to have to find the one that's most like what you do. So working with a client yesterday who does media work and setting him up, and I thought, oh, they're not going to have his category, and boom, it popped right up. So I was really pleased that it's pretty broad what they have to offer. If they don't have your category, you just have to get that down in your description that you're a little different than what other people are. If you're working from your home, you don't want to put your address on Google, perhaps. How many people would not want their home address with their business if they're not working at home? We've got a way to deal with that as well. So Google has thought of a lot of different things in setting this up. You can hide it, and we'll show you how to do that. And they want to know, do you deliver goods from your spot? And we're going to answer that as well. Local service is real important, so you want to make sure you tell people what your locality is and what the radius is of the people that you serve. And there's a spot that says, I also serve people at this address. So if you're not working out of your home and you want them to come to, say, the Innovation Connector, you can put that on there. The next thing to do is to make sure everything's right. Don't have a typo in there. How many people hate typos? I hate typos. How many people make typos? I always say I can type 100 mistakes a minute. It's just really easy to do. So you'll want to take and continue with that and make sure that everything is correct. How does Google keep me from changing your Google Doc? Because that's kind of scary when you think about it. So you're going to get a PIN. I talked about that earlier briefly, and that PIN is saying that you are who you are and where you are. So they like to send postcards out to your address so that they know that this is going to a physical address, these are the right people, this matches what they're putting into their data. So the verification is a very important part of what they do. Never answer any questions. If someone calls you and says they're Google and they ask for your password or anything like that, don't do it, because Google would never do that. Keep that in mind. So that verification code you get will be unique to what you're doing and where you are, so of course you shouldn't share that with anyone. And some people today might be able to verify it by phone. We'll check that out in a little bit. I think this might be a good place to take a stop and go back to the steps and do them ourselves. And we're going to search for your business. So we're going to go to, does it say up there? gybo.com/business and see if you're up there. Okay, drum roll please. Know what SEO stands for? A few people don't. It stands for search engine optimization, and that's what we're talking about here. If I put in best guitar straps and you came up first, that's what you'd like, right? So that's what Angela's going to talk to us a little bit about, how you manipulate, how you work with Google to come up first in that search. She's going to just do a little brief talk. I think it's probably going to be interactive. Again, if you want to write down psanova@isbdc.org. That's my email address. You walk out of here, you say, I didn't get the information I wanted, I need more, I've got this question, this question, this question. Email me. I probably won't know the answer, but because we are affiliated with Google, they will talk to me, and hopefully then we'll talk to you.
So how's everybody feeling about their Google Plus listing? Feel like you gained some traction today? Got a better understanding of that? Remember how to log in? Hey, you know what? That's a huge step in the right direction, right? Well, one of the things that you want to do is get in the habit of checking that, making sure your listing's still showing up, that the information's correct. As you add services to your business, you add team members to your business, you change what you're offering, especially if you move. Obviously, this needs to be right after you change your address with the post office, you need to change your address with Google, because they're going to control your physical mail, but Google controls the rest of it, right? So make sure you stay on top of that all the time. And Google Plus, great step, awesome first step, but it is only the first step in getting this. How many of you guys have websites? SCORE has a website, right? So everybody has a website, so that's great. How many of you have Google Analytics on your website? Okay, do you check it? You can check Google Analytics monthly on your site and come to understand a little bit more about what it does for you. There are tons of great tutorials. Google, as you can tell, is making itself into the mammoth resource for this kind of information online. The reason they provided Peggy with all this phenomenal content to share with you today is, of course, it's helping them too, because they want to be the go-to resource for anybody who gets on a computer, a tablet, a phone, any device connected to the internet. They want you to trust them as the ultimate source. So the more we help them keep our information up to date, the better it makes them look too. So it's a very synergistic relationship. We're going to benefit far more than they do from the effort that we put into this. Because if you think about the internet 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you first started hearing about it, maybe got your first email address, maybe first thought about having a website. If you had a website 15, 20 years ago, you had a beautiful palace in the middle of a desert. You were one of a very few, right? So it really wasn't all that hard to give people the roadmap to get there, right? Now, if you have a simple little local website, you are building a third floor walk-up in the middle of downtown Manhattan. So you better give people not just the map and the address, but very detailed instructions with lots of different routes to get to you. In case there's traffic stopped on Fifth Avenue or the subway stops over here, you want to help them find you lots of different ways. That's what SEO is going to do for you. It's going to put you out there in multiple ways so that people, when they're searching, and it's always humans searching, right? That's one of the things you got to remember is, again, 10 years ago, there were lots of tricks to game the system. You heard a lot about keyword stuffing and going in and creating backlinks all over the place and doing all this stuff manually. If you do that stuff now, Google will find you and they will penalize you. And so all of the efforts you put in to do a great job on your website, great job on your Google Plus profile, if you do the bad practices, what's called black hat SEO, if you go out to blogs that are completely irrelevant to your business and you comment with your web page, in the comments, you guys have probably all seen that before, right? You're reading a blog, you look at comments, and somebody's posted some random, hey, try my great weight loss plan, with a totally irrelevant site. Google's gonna catch on to that. Google is getting smarter and smarter and smarter all the time. They will catch on to that, and they will penalize you severely. So you will negate every good effort you put into this. So that's my first recommendation. Don't try to game the system, okay? Do the right stuff the right way. Keep track of how your website is doing. Keep track of your Google profile listing. And then we're going to talk about some other opportunities as well. And I think talking to Levi and Tom, I may come back and do a bigger presentation on this in a few months if everybody is interested in taking this a little bit further. So we've got our Google profile listing set up, right? We have our website set up. Google Analytics. Definitely want to get that loaded. And you want to learn at least the basics. Go on, look at a quick YouTube video tutorial on what those Google Analytics listings mean. Because what that's going to tell you is for all the traffic that comes to your website, what's it doing? Is it staying there? Is it digging through pages? Which pages do the people like the best? I'm saying it as though it's not people. These are people who are doing this. So people come to your site, they're looking around. Do they leave immediately? Those are called bounces. That's not good. Google isn't going to rate you very highly for that. Or do they come in and they dig through and they get to certain pages? Or are they coming from somewhere else out on the internet and not even landing on your homepage, but they're landing on a specific page? Maybe it's an article. Maybe it's a blog post you wrote. Maybe it's a specific product page that you've been promoting on social media or elsewhere. You want to pay attention to that stuff. Which pages are working really, really well for you so that you can continue promoting those things and understand. So this is going to give you your baseline, the kind of where are you now snapshot of how your website's doing. Because you need that to measure against before you start putting any real effort into this. Yes?
I thought that was a really good idea, your YouTube tutorial. Tell us all how to get there.
There's several of them, and I didn't pull out. Actually, you know, you can find, well, yes. I'm going to go just right here. You can go to Google, actually, and find tutorials as well, but I should have written down the actual one that I was looking at. If you go to youtube.com, I can't see what I'm doing here. Okay, Google Analytics tutorial, step by step. Tons of them. You can see people put this stuff out there all the time. There are paid classes you can take online that are going to get even more in-depth, but really sit and watch one of these. Pick one that fits your time frame. You can see there's one that's 5 minutes long. There's ones that are about 30 minutes long. Take time, sit down, watch one of these. I guarantee you it will really make a lot of sense to you. And with the Google addresses you just set up for your Google profile, if you don't have analytics set up yet, it'll help you get it set up, and you want to use that same email address to do that. And then again, put a calendar reminder on your calendar to go in and check these once a month. Once every couple months, if that's all you can do, but try to get in once a month and look at these statistics. Another thing you want to do is make sure you have your Google local profile set up. You have your Google Plus page set up as well. That's a separate thing. That's Google's social media site. Now, there's debate about whether they're going to keep supporting that platform or not, but if they don't, they won't just kill everything that's out there. They're going to merge that into something else. So it's not going to hurt to go ahead and have that set up. And then additionally, I'm not going to go through all these tutorials. That's what we'll do in a bigger class. But there, you want to link your Google Plus profile with this Google local listing. Okay, so you want to make sure that those two have the same information, list your address the same, list your name the same, your phone number, your hours. You want to make sure this information is consistent wherever you put it out on the web. And that's a challenge. I've been looking at solutions for eBiz, the company that I work for. That name has been spelled so many different ways over the 15 years the company has been in existence that it's a challenge to go back and try to get all those listings updated now. So the thing we just did now, you saw the little box that Tom showed you? That's your Google local listing, okay? Google Plus, let me see if somebody's pulled up here. Can I sign in for you guys? Because that's what it, if you can sign it in, we'll pull up your page. It's a social media network. It's not just that local directory listing. That's what you just did, is basically a directory listing with the Google local. This is your social media listing on Google, Google Plus.
So that's a separate place to set up something?
It is a separate place to set up something.
Google Plus personally, but I didn't know.
Yep, and you can set up a business page. And you can actually,
rankings?
yes, it does. Google loves its own products. Everything you do to set up yourself on Google, the more you put out there, the better it's going to like it. Just make sure you're consistent.
So, for instance,
Yeah.
if you were to have a automatic backup to Google Plus like you can personally, if you did that with business with photos and things like that, that will help increase that.
Absolutely. Yep, it loves it. Yep, and that's why you want to make sure those two are linked as well, because the more presence you have online, the more Google believes that you're a credible business, and the more authority you have. There are multiple ways to do that. All we're talking about right now is just your own presence. One of the biggest things that you're going to hear people talk about, and you've probably heard this, is citations, link building, backlinks. Those are all terms that when you get into your website or start doing any looking at SEO at all, that's one of the things you'll see. That's getting other people who have trusted websites, not just junk websites. That's the black hat SEO we were talking about. People with trusted websites, getting them to link back into your site as well. And there's a whole host of information about that. But if you guys have a supplier for particular materials, or if you have retailers that you work with and you have those relationships already, and you're creating content about your products, about how people use your products, about stuff going on in your industry, look and see what they like to share on their website and offer to share that content. Say, hey, come link to this article that we wrote, or can I write a guest article for you? And then link that back to your website. The more of those you do, it's what I was talking about with giving people multiple ways to find you. You want to make yourself the brightest light in New York City so that people can find you. And of course, New York City is the figurative for what we're talking about, but you understand what I'm saying. So you see up in the upper left corner, it says Google Plus up here, okay? So this is another one. Go ahead and create this page. Like I said, even if Google ends up changing what Google Plus looks like or what it does, they're never going to destroy all this information. They're going to transform it into something else because it behooves them to keep the content out there. So it'll change, it'll morph, because Google, just like Facebook and anybody else, they're never going to stop innovating, ever. They need their stuff to stay fresh and exciting to users as well, because at the end of the day, this is all computers, and we can talk about robots and websites and profiles and tags and links and SEO, and it all sounds very technical and very confusing. But at the end of the day, everything Google is doing is trying to create a better experience for the people who are searching the internet, okay? And the better job you do of remembering that humans are the ones searching for you, so whether it's picking keywords, writing content for your website, creating social media posts, anything you do, keep in mind you're creating it for humans. Write it in a way that you would want to read. Don't stuff it full of every keyword you think somebody might be trying to find. They're going to ding you for that too. So write with a human voice. Don't be overly salesy by any means. You want to offer useful, interesting content. When you go to a website, think about what you would do. If I was coming to your website, am I going to want to read about the 15 different sales you're running? Or am I going to want to read about the history of guitar making and when guitar straps are used, what styles of guitar playing people wear straps for and how they wear their straps and what materials you can make them out of and which are better, which ones stay tight and which ones stretch and flex. And I'm going to want information, right? So provide information. Provide useful stuff that let people know you care about them as readers and you're going to develop a relationship with them. It's the same thing you guys all do in person now. You go out to a chamber luncheon, right? I work for the chamber. Go out for a chamber luncheon, you're not just going to sit there, and you're not going to walk up to people and go, hi, I'm running a 20% off sale. Hi, I'm running a 20% off sale. Hi, come sign up for my business. No, you're going to sit and you're going to have a cup of coffee and you're going to ask them about them and ask them about their business. And you'll share information and, hey, I just read this interesting thing. Your website's the same thing. Your social media profiles are the same thing. Tell them interesting information they want to hear related to your business, and they're going to want to come back and see you time and time again. Okay? Okay. Perfect. Okay, so there again, what's showing up there on the right-hand side is your Google local listing, which is what we're here today to get set up, versus your Google Plus, which is similar to a, I'm trying to find the down arrow, there we go. It's similar to a Facebook listing in that you're going to have a cover photo and you're going to have your logo, you'll have an about page, and again, you want to fill in as much of this information as possible. You're going to be allowed to put in a lot more detailed information on your Google Plus than you will on your Google local listing. So when you link those two, it's a great opportunity for people to be able to find you even more. Okay, for your website, we could spend days talking about all the ways that websites can be optimized, but the quick things I want you to pay attention to. You got to make your website search engine friendly if it's not already, so you want to check this. Is your website optimized for mobile devices? If it was not created within the last couple of years, probably not. It's a really, really good bet that it's not. And if it is not, you remember hearing a few months ago, everybody was saying, Google just did a huge update and oh my gosh. The oh my gosh was that they started seriously downgrading websites that are not mobile optimized. So even if you used to show up pretty well in search engine rankings, you won't anymore, especially on mobile devices. Google is that smart, by the way. You search on your computer and you go search on your phone, you're going to get a different list of results. It will be different. You search in Anderson versus searching in Indianapolis, you will get a list of different results. You can put in the exact same keyword, and it's going to know where you are and try to tailor the results it gives you based on your location. Okay, and it's going to base it on the device that you're using, and if you've let it save enough other information about you, it's going to use any other information it can find about you. Okay, this is when I'm talking about the third floor walk-up in Manhattan, that's why. The information out on the internet doubles in size every couple of years, okay? So little bitty internet is now gargantuan, overfed internet, and it's still growing. So this stuff is gonna keep being more and more important, not less. Okay, so mobile devices. If you have not checked this, Google the term mobile-friendly test tool. Google mobile-friendly test tool. You'll type in your website URL, it'll run a quick check, and it's going to tell you whether or not your site is mobile optimized. Okay, that's the high-level check for it. Another thing that's really important is that your website loads quickly. Google cares about that, and Google can tell. So a quick way to check that, and you want to write this one down as well, is page speed. Google page speed. You can probably do Google page speed checker, page speed insights. Okay, and it'll there's a big long link, and I can read it off to you, but it's just easier just to Google it. And again, it's going to take you to another page where you put your website in, and it's going to sit there and think for a minute, and it's going to pop up a report that's going to tell you how you do on page speed. Okay, if it tells you that your website is loading too slowly, and you did your website yourself, there are several different things. It'll walk you through. You need to optimize your photos, which probably means making them a little bit smaller, compressing them a little bit more, some different things like that to help it load faster. And it'll tell you you don't have title tags or alt tags, or you don't have good navigation going through different places. Anything that slows down Google's ability for its little spiders to see your page quickly and efficiently, it's going to start telling, some of these different reports will start telling you that, and if you know how to fix it, or if you have somebody who helps you fix it, you want to do that, because all of that's going to help you get faster. Social media sharing buttons. Do you have your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? How many of you have social media accounts? Let me ask you that, for your business, not personally, for your business. Okay, so most everybody does. Do you have buttons for each of those on your website? Yes? No? Okay, if you don't, you definitely want to get those put on there as well, okay? Because sharing, you're trying to build roads. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to find you, share with you, interact with you. And building out your social media profiles, what we did here today with Google Local, and what I'm talking about with Google Plus, building that page, same thing is true for all of the major social media networks, right? So Facebook especially, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, okay? You wanna have your pages claimed and set up on those. Now Twitter, I gotta tell you, I always find it a challenge recommending that one to people locally because all of you guys own a business, all of you have 1,000 other things you need to be doing every minute of the day, and running an actual successful social media campaign on Twitter takes time and effort, okay? But still, create the page, get it out there, and if you link it up to your phone, when you find an interesting article about business, it's not that hard to share an article over there, okay? So you can use it at least enough to make it look like you're still alive, and it does help with search engine rankings. Now, all of those posts that you do out there on social media, those are no follow. Do you guys know what a no follow link means? Have you heard that term? No follow basically means when we're talking about those great backlinks that you want somebody to get, you always want to make sure that they're not labeled no follow, because that means even though I'm going to link back to your website, I'm not sharing any of my SEO juju with you. So if my site ranks really, really well, I have high authority on my site, but the link that I put back from my site to yours is no follow, I'll get somebody to your site, but I'm not going to tell Google how much I like you. So I'm not going to let it reflect positively on your SEO. So it'll build traffic, it'll still get somebody there, but it's not going to help you in the way that having standard links would do, okay? So creating those pages will get you SEO visibility. Your posts, unfortunately, don't, but they're good just to keep that presence going on social media. So in the hierarchy of things, get your website optimized, build the pages, post when you can, and then build up to a stronger presence. So how many of you built your own websites? Any of you? Okay, this is why I did, sort of, okay. What Tom's talking about, and I'll just at a very high level talk about this, when I'm talking about right for humans, say all the right stuff that your customers want to hear, we can get into keyword research and all of that. That's all the important stuff that you're probably doing yourself. Even if you have someone building your website, unless you have a pretty substantial budget, they're probably not doing the content for you. You're still writing what goes on the website, right? What they should do for you is do all the back-end stuff, what's called the, well, it's the behind-the-scenes SEO. So what Tom's talking about is things like title tags. The names of your pages matter. The URL, not just for your main domain, but for each page under your domain. Google ranks that very, very highly. So you want to think about, if you haven't refreshed your website in a while and you're ready for a redo, those are things that, whether you're doing it or you're working with a web developer, they should be talking to you about how do you want to name these pages? Have you done the keyword research? You've all heard of keywords, right? Even if you don't completely understand what they do and what they are, you've heard that term. This is why they're so important, because keywords are basically nothing more than these are the words that the real actual humans on Google are looking for. So if I'm sitting here saying I need to get business cards done, I may type in business card printing, and Anna's going to really, really hope that her SEO is good enough for me to get to her site. If not right near the top of that Google search results, SERP, search engine results page. So if you read the term SERPs, that's what it's talking about. It's where do you show up? And she's hoping I show up high in those organic rankings because she's not doing pay-per-click advertising. She's not paying for Google to shove her up near the top. So she's hoping that the other stuff she's done has gotten her business up high enough that I'm going to find her. Now, what you're going to find out locally is that you probably need to be putting in some additional local information with that. So instead of just doing printing, you're going to have a heck of a time ranking for that, right? But if you say printing Anderson, Indiana, business card printing Anderson, Indiana, there are ways that we can put that into the back end of a website. What Tom's talking about, the metadata. There's a meta description. There are browser page titles. There are title tags, alt image titles. So every image you put in, there's a little spot as you upload it into a website where you can put text. Have you ever gone to a web page and for some reason the images didn't load, but you see a line of text? That's alt image text. Alt text is the short way of saying that. Google sees that, and that's a big deal to Google. How you name the images is a big deal to Google. Okay, so there are lots of ways, but those are all getting into the very technical kind of back-end pieces of it. So they all matter. The keywords are the piece that don't matter, where you have the meta description versus the meta keywords. A lot of people don't fill in that keyword spot anymore. They focus on the meta description because Google doesn't read the keywords. That's where people could stuff keywords. Your keywords need to show up in your content and in your titles, in your title tags. Yes. Content, content, content. And why? I mean, what have we said 20 times? Because humans read the internet, right? And what do humans read on the internet? Content. So that's what Google cares about. That's the thing you got to keep in mind with anything you do. So we said social sharing buttons. In the footer of your website, make sure it has your complete address and phone number. That way it's going to show up on every single page. When Google crawls your page, it's going to see it again. And make sure it is listed exactly the same way you just listed it on your Google Plus profile. Everywhere you put your address out on the internet, not just your address, your NAP, name, address, phone number, your NAP. Everywhere you put it out there, make sure it's listed the same so Google can connect all the dots. I think for most everybody, they're going to want to have some kind of an address in there because you're still going to receive mail and you're going to get information. So if you have an address, even if it's just where you receive mail, I would still include it personally. The more important thing is the consistency. Whatever you do, do it the same everywhere. So don't put comma Inc. after your name sometimes or comma LLC sometimes and not do it other times. Don't change the capitalization. Don't change the spacing. Even in your phone number. Don't use dashes sometimes and parentheses other times. Okay? Don't use punctuation in your address sometimes and not other times. Be consistent. I mean, literally, you all know how to create a little text file on your computer, right? Just use Notepad or something. However, whoever's doing this for you, whether it's you or somebody else, type it out exactly the way you want to see it. Name, address, phone number, and save it. So that every time, whether it's now or 3 years from now, when you go back to create another directory listing, you're putting it in exactly the same way, okay? It's not a deal killer, but it helps tremendously if Google can match that up without having to work at it. On the website, we said set up Google Analytics. There's a lot of deeper stuff, structured data markup, robots.txt, okay? And that's where I'm going to tell you, I'm a marketing person working for a technology company. I have people sitting back in the office, that's what they do. So if you're wanting to get into that depth, if local search engine optimization is huge to your business and you're ready to take that next step, call somebody to help with that because you're going to drive yourself crazy. You can learn it online, I guarantee you. There are courses, free and paid, where you can go learn how to do every bit of this right along with the experts, but you're going to spend some time. Okay, content marketing. I'm going to give you just some brief tips on that. If you're looking at your website and you're saying, wow, it's time for a redo, things to think about. The better your content, the better your website can serve you, okay? Have you heard the term inbound marketing? That's for people who have done such a phenomenal job of their content that they're drawing people into them. They're not having to go search them out. People are finding their website because they love what you have to say. That helps reduce, remember that bounce rate we talked about? Somebody comes to your site and they bounce right back off. If you have good content and all the other stuff that you have out there is consistent with the content that's on your website, people aren't going to bounce off of it because they will have gotten to you through a path that led them where they wanted to be. Whatever they were searching is actually relevant, okay? That's important, relevant. You only want to put relevant content on your website and on your social media pages. Don't talk about random stuff that has no bearing on anything your business does. I mean, if you're commenting on a Christmas party or whatever on your blog, you can do that. But really, by and large, you want the stuff people find out about you online to be exactly what they would want to come get from you as a business. Let's see. So if you have a high bounce rate, when you look at your Google Analytics, set that up, give it about a month to run. When you look at those statistics, if you're seeing a high bounce rate, people popping back off your site, it either means your website isn't reaching the right people at all, or your internal navigation, how people find their way through your site, isn't getting them where they want to be. Okay, so those are two key things to look at on your website. Good SEO is going to start with good keywords, finding the right keywords, and that takes a lot of research. Again, 100 different ways online to learn how to do this keyword research yourself, and there are people who can help you with it as well. So you have to decide, is that something that I want to sit down and do? And that will be another seminar that we can give to give you kind of the basics of getting started on it. So let's take Starphoto, for example. Starphoto? No, Starphoto. Did she? Oh, she's the one who's here? Anna, we'll talk about yours because I know your business better than some. So printing. Anna does printing services. She does, tell me some of the other, signage.
Wide format, all types
Okay?
White format, design work.
And you do design. Okay, so let's take those three. So let's take standard printing, signage, and graphic design. So those can be, under the services menu on your website, you can have those three major sections, and then under each one of those, you can build out pages about specific items. So we've got commercial printing, and we can have a section just on business cards, and one on brochures, and one on postcards, and one on, you see what I'm saying? So you go and you, invitations, all those different things. The deeper you build out those pages, the more opportunities you're giving people to find exactly what they're looking for. So instead of just ranking for printing, you now have the opportunity to rank for printing, commercial printing, business card printing, on down the line, okay? So this is really limited only by the time you have to put into it, because as you've identified the good keywords for your business, you can create a page around each one of those. So instead of doing that black hat SEO where you try to stuff every single keyword into a single page and Google gets mad and ignores you anyway, you create individual pages or groups of pages. I mean, so she could group 2 or 3 things together if they're related. But the more of those pages you create, she's created an entire silo of information on her website all about her printing services. And she can do the same thing under her signage services. So if they create banners, wide format posters, and lamination and mounting for posters, individual pages. So if I'm looking for a laminated poster, she can have a page all about laminated posters. I'm going to find her a lot faster. Google's going to like that because it's specific information about a topic I could search, okay? Does that make sense? So silos of information. Again, based on good keyword. Now, one of the ways that people used to do black hat SEO a lot is if you have different locations that you serve, they would create pages for each of those locations. So like you're sitting here in Anderson, Indiana, but you do stuff for people in Muncie and people in Pendleton and people in Alexandria and people in Elwood. They used to take a page, duplicate it 5 times, and just change a couple of words. Yeah, Google's onto that. They really don't like duplicate content. You don't want to just use the same content over and over and change a couple of words. However, if you have services that are truly relevant in multiple locations in your service area, absolutely create those pages because that gives you the opportunity to use those long tail keywords, which is your primary keyword plus location-based information, and specify the different areas. So if I'm sitting in Alexandria looking for business cards and she has something to say about that, she could create something that was business card printing Alexandria, Indiana. And maybe there's a service they offer for people in Alexandria, like 2-day delivery, something like that. But it needs to be something different and unique. You can't just copy the same information. Now what she can do though, is put that information that's special to Alexandria and then link back to the main information, okay? Google likes that too because you just made it easy for somebody to get back where they wanted to be. They need more information about something else, so you create internal links on your web page. So if you're sitting there, look at your web page like you're a customer. If you do that, you can create all sorts of different ways to help people. And if you don't have access to your web content and this is something you want to do, figure out who you want to work with to do that, because this is some of the best stuff you could possibly do. So you guys all have websites. Have any of you checked out your backlinks or your citation listing, your directory listings? Okay. Those are another couple of things you can do. Google yourself, okay? Get on the web, Google yourself. I can have Tom or Peggy send out a little email with how to do this. But you can actually search for your own business name and exclude your web pages out of that search. And it's just how you type it into the Google search bar. But if you do that, you're going to find all the places your business is showing up online. And what you'll probably see is things like Yelp.com, maybe Angie'sList.com, YellowPages.com, Manta.com. If you are a manufacturer, Alabibi.com. I have a whole big old listing of these, but I've read several of them off. You're going to find that you're on a lot of those, okay? This is where that little text that I said, create it and put your Google information in there exactly the way you put it on Google and on your website. Do the same thing for those sites. You want to go to those sites. Check your listing. If your listing is incorrect, go fix those, okay? If you go to those websites, most of them will have a way. They'll tell you how to get in touch with them. Some are easier than others. Some are virtually impossible. Because once you get to that point, they're data aggregators. They're just going out there and just scooping whatever they can find. And some of what they're going to get is correct, some of what they're going to get is incorrect. But in every place that you can, go find the listings, especially Yellow Pages, White Pages, Manta, Yelp, Foursquare, any of those bigger ones. If you've recognized the name of this, if you've seen this before, it's one you should pay attention to, okay? Go check those listings and do everything you can to get them consistent, okay? Does that make sense? Because that's another place Google's looking for you. And then building the links, we talked a little bit about that. Start with organization. Yeah.
How did you find that? You say Google yourself, but how do you exclude yourself?
I'll show you real quick. I can send the email, but I can show you real quick too, because you could probably, in case the email doesn't get to everybody, I wrote down the exact formula. I've just got to find it in my notes here, because it gets pretty technical. All right, yeah, no, I'll find it for you. But yeah, and even if you don't do that, even if you just Google yourself, just Google your business name and ignore the ones that are your own pages, obviously. It just makes your search engine results a little shorter. But just find your directory listings where you're showing up, and then also think about the ones where you're not showing up and go claim your listing, or go make a listing if you're not out there already. Okay, so that's building citations, building backlinks. Start with the organizations you're already a part of. Are you a chamber member? Check your chamber membership listing. Go on the chamber website, look at Find a Business, check your listing. Is it correct? Is it complete? Does it have everything the chamber will possibly allow you to display? If not, either log in, you can log into the chamber website to do it, and if not, if you can't figure out how to do that, call them. Say, fix it, you're paying for that membership. Any organization you're paying for a membership of, get your listing in there and get it correct, okay? And then you can continue to work through other organizations that you're somehow affiliated with, would like to be, and find the ones that allow you to have some sort of a listing. So basically, the more places you show up, it's like walking through your neighborhood and you're sticking out yard signs, right? So the more yard signs I can stick out, the better. New incognito window, you guys see that? Sorry, I work on a Mac, it's on the left-hand side on a Mac. We're backward. So when you bring up a new incognito window, what that's gonna do is ignore your browsing history. It's gonna ignore all of your personal data. So try that. Have other people try. If you have friends and relatives across the country, have them search you out. See what you're out, we're talking about local SEO, so you can decide how important that is, but that's a next step for building SEO too.
Sounds to me like you all ought to have her back for 2 hours.
Put her on the spot today.
I can do that.